Take a few minutes to think about the most vital organ in your body, those organs that you cannot live without. Excellent. You probably have thought about your heart. Then I bet you said your brain, then your lungs. But have any one of you thought about your pancreas? I don't think so. I don't think you guys have said, I cannot live without my pancreas. Let me explain to you about the importance of pancreas, which is tucked away behind your stomach, behind the left rib cage. Inside your pancreas is a small cluster of cells called beta cells. You only have about 2 grams, about the size of 2 almonds. That's all it is. Well, these life-giving cells, the beta cells, surprisingly get no attention. Yet they were just sit there, and over time, if we don't take care of them, they will just wither away if there is no medical intervention. And you would literally die within few weeks. That is how important your beta cells are. You would die if you don't have beta cells. Here's how it works. Anytime you eat sugar or highly processed foods, anything processed and highly processed converts to sugar. So when I'm saying, I'm not just talking about raw sugar, but it's anything that is processed, that's not in its natural state. It converts into sugar, and that sugar circulates in your bloodstream from your head to toe, all throughout your body. The beta cells are the security guards for your blood. So as soon as they see this rush of sugar in your body, they send the alarm bells off and they call in a team of dump trucks to haul off all that sugar that's floating in your body, in your blood circulation. Well, the dump trucks are called insulin, and it's the insulin's job to pick up all the sugar out of your bloodstream and feed it into your liver, your muscles, or store it in as fats. Because you don't want to have that excess sugar hanging out, floating in your blood. This seems pretty innocent, right? But there's a problem. Millions and millions today are overlooking their security force, overlooking your beta cells. Don't happen just like that. The beta cells get damaged over time with the foods that you're eating day in and day out, the highly processed foods, and also the foods, sugary foods like cake, ice cream. All of that will be destroying your beta cells if you continue doing that throughout. And that includes yogurt, granola, cereals, bread, pasta, alcohol, even in moderation. Some of these foods that you think are healthy are not so healthy for you and your body. Anytime you eat any of these foods, your beta cells send this alarm bells off to make more insulin. And this is scary because just like anything, that gets overused. From your cars to computers, the parts eventually wear out. They wear off, leading to the beta cell burnout. That is another name for prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, which you really don't want to suffer from. Beta cells burn out and can happen to anyone. And it has a lot to do with the food choices. As your beta cells weaken through the years, the blood sugar levels start to rise to a dangerous level without you even noticing the rise in your blood sugar levels. If the beta cells get really weak and you don't pick it up, it's not picked up, the sugar is not picked up by the insulin dump truck, then it's going to get weak and withered away if you do not make any type of dietary changes. You likely need insulin at that time. The insulin shots every day for the rest of your life to stay alive. Because remember, you cannot live without that beta cells, right? So without that dump truck coming and saving that blood sugar, pulling it out. But you have good news. The good news is you can reverse the beta cell burnouts. Yes, you can reverse, and it is entirely possible just with small dietary tweaks and lifestyle changes, especially when caught early in the stages. My dad was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I saw that fight between my mom and dad all the time. My mom would say no to the foods and he would come grabbing, and he want to eat more and more. Even the ones that he didn't like, when we said no, he was like, okay, no, I want to eat some more. And then it came to a point where he would eat, his blood sugars would rise, and he would take more and more insulin. So I am very, very familiar with this process of what happens to you when your blood sugars start rising. That's why in my nursing school, my first research paper was on diabetes. So the effects of the sugar, what the effects of sugar, high blood sugars have been through our life, what causes our changes in the body and the changes in our mind, that I have studied most of my life because I had that personal vested interest. The cause of type 1 diabetes is a little different from the pandemic of the type 2 diabetes today that we are hearing so much about. Type 1 is the immune system that attacks and kills all the beta cells. So living in a household with chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cancer, obesity, in a way has been a gift to me, because I am so motivated to make a lifestyle change, to live a healthy and a happy life, both physically and mentally. I watch the effects of eating processed foods. I have watched it on my dad. I have watched it on my patients, how these blood sugars, which just get skyrocketed, and you don't even feel it until that awfulness hits you, where you have headaches, feel very cranky, and if the phone rings, you don't even feel like picking up because you're very irritable. You just want to nap, cuddle in the bed, cover yourself, and just take a nap. That's how you feel all the time. Most people walk around oblivious to this direct correlation between what you eat and how you feel. So the negative effects on all of you living with beta cells, you don't know. But you are very, very lucky to have those beta cells. And it is much more subtle, but potentially just as deadly if you destroy those beta cells. So take care of them. The good news is by saving those beta cells, which is entirely in your own hands, you have that power, then you can make it much better and strengthen and live a beautiful life. You know, this conversation wouldn't have applied even 20 years ago when sugar wasn't added to everything that we eat, and it was just used on special occasions. Are you aware now that only 10 companies that own the entire world's food brands? And the reality is that sweeter a food is, the more it sells. So the bottom line is the business. How can they make more money? So when you eat sugar, you might be immediately feeling that rush, right? You feel that rush of energy and kind of feel good, thinking that, wow, this sugar is making me feel so great. But the reality is, an hour later, that's when you need to pay attention, which most of us don't. How do you feel an hour later? You feel zapped. You might not be able to concentrate. You might kind of saying, I need to go take a little nap now. You might want to eat a little bit more sugar because you want that energy back kicked up because you thought, oh, that's what will make you feel good. In reality, that's not it. If we keep doing this over and over again throughout our lifetime, the beta cells get weaker and weaker, and the blood sugar levels slowly start rising higher and higher. And over time, high blood sugar levels causes heart disease, kidney disease, stroke, gangrene, blindness, Alzheimer's, limb amputations, depression, violent behavior, much, much more. Diabetes is linked to so many different other disease processes. The amount of deaths caused by sugar, it's not, they don't say it's caused by sugar, right? That's not the diagnosis that's given. Oh, the death is from sugar. It leads to many, many deaths. More than the automobile accidents. Just imagine that. More than the number of accidents on the road. At that rate, we are consuming too much sugar. And sugar is not a treat. Just, ladies and gentlemen, at this rate, if we are consuming it today, sugar is going to become a death sentence for us. Yes, a death sentence. But the good news is, like I said, there is something we can do about it. It's a major problem, but we can take control of it. Let me share a story about my client, Sarah. She was feeling just very weak. She was freaking out. She said, what the hell is happening to me? I don't know what's wrong with me. She said, I might have to go to my doctor and get all kinds of blood tests because maybe it's my thyroid, maybe it's some type of another weakness because I'm not feeling good in the morning. And then I drag myself throughout the day. I cannot focus. I feel very cranky. Something is wrong with me, she said. She goes, let me make an appointment. I might even have a brain tumor. She's thinking all these things that might possibly be wrong with her. Then I said, Sarah, before you run around and get all these expensive tests from your doctor and get a huge medical bill, I want you to try out something. I said, first, let me ask you this. I told her, I asked her, so tell me, what do you eat for breakfast? What is that every day on a regular basis that you eat for breakfast? And she said, well, I have vanilla latte and I squirt in few extra pumps because I love it. I love that vanilla flavor. And I said, well, okay, let me tell you something. Vanilla is a syrup. Do you realize that? It's not a vanilla bean, but it is sugar syrup with tons of sugar added to it. And then she said, I have zucchini bread. Well, zucchini bread, that sounds very innocent, but zucchini bread, you might as well call it zucchini cake. Because zucchini bread, zucchini muffin, all of these, it's just a cake without the frosting. It has tons of sugar in it. It's made with lots of sugar, but no frosting, so that you can think that it is healthy. So I told Sarah, before you run around to your doctor with these expensive tests, why don't you start your day off with green smoothie? Green smoothie. You might think, I can go to a store and get green smoothie. But green smoothies in the store that they make, they add lots and lots of sugar. You can easily make green smoothie at home. Just take a blender jar, add about 4 cups of dark greens in it, and add 1 cup of fruit so that the bitterness goes away. Add a whole bunch of water to it, crank it up, blend it really good, and chuck that smoothie down slowly. Don't chug it down. Sip it throughout the day, slowly, over a few hours. And also you can have few slices of apples with homemade peanut butter. The reason I say homemade peanut butter because the peanut butter bought in the store is filled with sugar. So that's what I advise Sarah to have for breakfast. So that way her blood sugars can start off balanced in the morning, and then she can have more energy throughout the day and she can think clearly. So she took upon my advice, and then 2 weeks later, she sent an email full of exclamation points saying, nothing is wrong with me. I feel great. I am having these green smoothies for breakfast every day with the apples and peanut butter, and everybody loves me. They're saying, what have you done? You look so happy. What changes have you made in your life? Do you see how simple it is? It does not have to be overwhelming. You know, sometimes you might think it's overwhelming. I get it. But it's so easy to fall into that trap laid by $1.5 trillion processed food industry today, saying this is healthy, this is, good for you, and all of that. The labels, the attractive labels, and the marketing to trap us. They label so many sugary foods as healthy. Gummy bears as vitamins, right? Gummy bears, they are just gummy bears. Yogurt today, those blueberry, strawberry, all these yogurts have more sugar, ounce for ounce, than the Coca-Cola. Kids are eating fruit chewies, all these dried fruit chewies, thinking that they are healthy. They are not aware that fruit chewies are nothing but sugar. with fruit flavoring. There's no real fruit in it. And also those outside smoothies that you drink, a lot of the time it's just the flavoring with tad bit of fruit and lots of sugar. There was a study done on rats that showed chronic sugar consumption creates as much damage to the brain as abuse done to a child in their childhood. Teens are drinking less soda nowadays, but they are replacing it with sports drinks and energy drinks. These drinks are shamefully being marketed as healthy, yet they are the key part of our obesity epidemic that's spreading today. And all of you parents out there and grandparents and the loved ones, remember those birthday parties for your children you throw? The 6-year-old, all they do at the birthday parties is eat the cake and eat the ice cream. And then what do they do? Next thing, they are running around screaming wild in the house. This behavior is direct result of that sugar intake. This happens in schools every day. And the sad thing is that they are still doing it, continuously feeding children these, and also adults are eating these same foods like pasta and beer, pizza, beer, and pasta and bread. It's the same effect. According to the World Health Organization, there are more than 420 million people today with type 2 diabetes, and the number just keeps rising. In America alone, if our eating habits do not change in the next few decades, then there will be about 1 in 3 people with diabetes, type 2. So then they might always be somebody that you know that has diabetes, your loved one, or it might even be you. We all have been brainwashed to think that sugar on a daily basis is okay. Frankly, it's not okay. It's very similar to way, way back when the doctors used to endorse smoking. Remember that? Those old commercials, when you look at them, the posters of the athletes on the bikes smoking. So that is not right. Now you know about smoking. Same thing is about sugar. You need to make a shift. Let me tell you, I volunteered at a diabetes camp. So I saw all these kids. What were they eating on a daily basis? The standard recommendations given to the children diagnosed with diabetes today is that they can eat as much as they want, whatever sugar, whatever processed food they want, and then they can add more insulin to it to combat that effect. So we are going to cover ourselves with the medicine. Think about that. The blood sugar fluctuations that happens when you eat too much of sugar, up and down, going on inside your body, it's just a medical tragedy that's about to happen. And it is devastating because the solution is very, very simple. We need to eat natural foods. Our future depends on healthy society. Your contribution is needed in today's crazy world to educate others and empower them to make a shift towards a healthy lifestyle. Sugar is never going to get you feeling good or your best. It's never going to do that. And sugar is never going to help you, motivate you to have a great day. Look at Sarah. So I ask you this. Would you like to have more energy? Would you like to have less anxiety, a better memory, be more productive, better skin, sleep well through the night, have more joy in life? Reducing sugar and highly processed foods from your diets is the key. That can change your life. Now, you might be feeling really resistant, saying, oh, that's too much to do. That's too much of information. It's overwhelming me. Just taking the big thing, you get all paralyzed, right? Take this big problem you have and cut it into small, making small changes. Have no fear. I have you covered. Make these small changes, because when you have the big problem in front of you, that's going to overwhelm you. All you have to do is start with small steps. That's all you need to do. So I got you covered. I have 3 steps for you to get started. Okay? You can start with them starting today, starting right now. It's never too late. Start right now. The number one is have greens for breakfast. Infuse yourself with greens, and also have some sliced apples if you want additional stuff. You're not satisfied, sliced apples with peanut butter, and that is going to give you lots of energy, keeps you balanced and motivated, clarity in life, making good decisions through the day. Then you are giving your body that balanced energy. Number 2 is, next time you're feeling like you just want a little sweet, you just had a meal, but you still want a little bit more, you're not satisfied with it. I want something more for after dinner or after lunch, right? You might want to say, I want a little sugary snack. Then grab a glass of water first and drink. Being dehydrated actually can make you feel hungry. And so why don't you try water first? Drink that water, because you'll probably feel more energetic after you drink water, because 50% of the decrease in hydration, 5%, only 5% of low, if you're dehydrated, about 5%, that can correlate with 20% of decrease in your energy level. So you have more energy when you drink more water. So hydrate yourself, and you probably won't want to grab that sugary snack that you were intending to initially. That will pop you up and give you that energy. Number 3, there are many wonderful whole foods that you can eat, like oatmeal, quinoa, millets, variety of vegetables, beautiful colored vegetables and fruits, nuts. If you only add lots of herbs and spices, make it taste good, then you can consume a lot of this food and be satiated with it. In conclusion, what I want to leave you with this is, if it isn't already obvious, reducing the sugar in your diet could be life-changing for you. Yes, life-changing. Please protect your beta cells. Now you have the knowledge and you have the power. And if you can reduce consuming processed foods and sugar in your diet, then you can have that vibrant life, fuel yourself with the greatness, and you will be living a wonderful life and a happy life